Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Happy Monday, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
I hesitate because I never quite know how to start. You see that? Well, I don't know. We're here. Let's start this way. We're going to start with making sure that you're aware of something that you may or may not be aware of. Our website has a way that you can access through an app, right? Through an app, you can access things like our episodes, for example. People have asked, does your podcast have an app? And while we don't have
We're so like technology deficient that
well,
we're like, no, but no, we do. The answer is yes, we have an app now.
So I'm actually looking at this app now. Our website is developed on a host called Wix, Wix. And Wix provides an app called Spaces by Wix, where you can go on and enter a code and select our website.
Yeah.
And then if you want to just quickly listen to episodes or watch on YouTube, they actually come up on this Spaces by Wix app.
Yeah.
So I'm looking right now at the app and I can see that the episode from this week is there. It's automatically populating.
You can just click on it and go.
If you're thinking, I wish that I just had an app that took me to just listen or watch these two wonderful people, you can have that. Here's what you have to do. Go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. On the website, there is a menu item that says Spaces by Wix app.
Yes.
Click there. It will give you the code. It will tell you how to do it. What you have to do is become a member of our website, which costs you nothing. Yep. It is totally free. We're not abusing it in any way. So you go ahead and you join, and then it'll tell you there are instructions on our website for how to get this app on your device. Yeah. So to the question, does your podcast have an app? My answer is going to be yes.
Yes.
It's Spaces by Wix.
Yes.
You can select our website for that app.
Yeah.
And then you will get direct access to the episodes and the YouTube.
And a forum. So if you want to interact with us, but also other members of the website, you could do that too.
There is a chat. There's a feature.
Chat.
I'm looking at it. There's a chat where you could actually chat with us. So again, we would love it if some of you did this just to let us know what you think. So go to howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, go to the menu item that says Spaces by Wix app. Yeah. And then you'll find it. Yeah. Okay. There you go. We announced it.
We did it.
We've had it out. I think we sent emails. And if you're part of our Facebook page, I think we put something there, but we'll put more. Yeah. Okay. There you go. We're not actually here to totally talk about that. But we're going to talk today about our senses and touch. There is a notion out there that in order for children or anyone to fully understand something, they have to have touched it, which made me wonder if touch is actually the more important for teaching than what you do auditorily through sound or visually. Does touch trump the other senses?
Right. I feel it's not just touch. I feel like you need maybe all of them, and touch is one of them. And if you are not having touch in there, then if you're just doing auditory or visually and not having the touch, I think you need all of them. That's my opinion.
What do you think about, those boxes where kids stick their hands in and they feel for things and they have to identify it?
Yes.
And they can.
They can
identify things that they can't see and can't hear.
That is true. Yeah.
What about that?
I know. But if we're talking about learning, then if you're only doing touch, are you really only learning that one aspect of whatever it is that you were learning about?
I don't know.
I don't either.
But it's very interesting.
Yeah.
All the information out there about if they haven't touched it, they don't know it.
Yeah.
And this was the example that we were talking about
Yeah.
offline. We'll
Yeah.
share it with you. I can show children a video of a penguin.
True.
I can let them listen to the sounds a penguin makes and
True.
describe it to them.
True.
But if they haven't touched it, do they really know it?
I know, because I had this whole, like, as a science person, like, yeah, I can describe what a penguin's feathers feel like, but if I don't actually touch it, do I really know what that means?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Young, so when children are birthed to about age 2.5, they're in the sensory motor phase of development, and they want to activate all their senses all the time. So they want to touch everything.
All the senses, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but they do need to touch everything.
I know.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's all of them now.
If I
But-
if I
okay, yeah.
describe to you, if I describe to you how soft the feathers from my birds are,
Yeah.
until you touch
I
it, do
won't
you understand the
understand it.
softness?
No.
I think this speaks very loudly to the value of the sorts of hands-on experiences that you and I have talked about in the
Right.
past. Like, to show the children, to read to the children a book about pumpkins,
Mhm.
and then show them a picture of pumpkins, and then give them paper plates to paint orange and call it a pumpkin. None of that means they understand pumpkin.
Correct. And it reminds me of, like, a lot of the curriculum sometimes is like this in the public school. When I taught kindergarten, the entire science curriculum was, here's some slides, show them some slides, read them some books, give them some paper to draw it, call it a day. And I was like, that's not how they're going to learn how seeds work and grow. So I would then bring in the stuff so that they could feel the dirt, feel the seeds. All the seeds felt different. What do we need to do? It was like more of like doing, I think, as well as touching, but showing them a slide and calling it like, hey, there's the flower, there you go, is not going to really teach them anything. That's what we're doing with pumpkins a lot of times. Unless you bring a pumpkin in and you're gutting that pumpkin and letting them feel that goo, do they really know what a pumpkin is like? No, I don't think so.
This is the value of the Please Touch museums.
Yes. Yes.
There are so many children's museums now that encourage children to touch things. And it's not, I'm not sure why I thought that was, but I understand now that it's because they need to touch it to understand it.
To understand it. I think they need to do things to understand it. And I think that's
true.
part of touching, if you're, but so often, like, once they get to a certain age, we're like, oh, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Stop touching that. Right. Why?
Everything is stop touching that.
Everything is. So, like, but it's like, as an adult, sometimes I'm like, sweater. I just want to feel a sweater. What does this feel like? And I'm old. Okay. So I still have that where I'm like, I got to touch things. Like, I got to do stuff. My hands have to be on it for me to get it.
As Alison well knows, I'm a big fan of historical restoration.
Yes.
I love to go to places that are part of history for any reason and tour them and learn about it and see the things from different periods of time. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the last time I was in Rhode Island and I went to Newport, where you tour the mansions from, that people, the very, very wealthy people, let's say in the 1920s, their mansions, like the Gilded Age mansions.
Gilded Age.
Yeah, that's what I was struggling for.
Yeah.
So you go, if you've never been to Rhode Island, to Newport, it's an amazing place to visit. First of all, it's beautiful. It's like right on the water.
Yeah.
And they have many, many mansions from the Gilded Age that you can go and tour and see how the people, they didn't even live there all year. They were there for a couple months of the year.
Yes.
But you can see how they lived, and they are ornate and they are unbelievably fancy, and you're behind ropes.
Yeah.
You can't touch
anything. Yeah.
Right. Or they'll, if there's a chair, let's say one of the old 1910, 1920 chairs,
sitting on
they'll
that.
have a sign on it that says, please do not sit, please do not touch.
Yeah.
Even as adults, how tempted are we to reach out and touch some of those things?
Well, yeah, because I want to know what the fabric was like back then. Okay, so
okay. All right. So wait, we're making my point. Ready?
Yes.
So here's another thing about, is touch what is the title here that we're doing? Is touch the most important sense? Okay. Here's another aspect of that for me. Shopping for clothing online irritates me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I want to touch the material.
Yeah.
It can say to me it's 100% cotton, but in order for me to know this clothing, I have to touch it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
although I fully recognize that online shopping is unfortunately the only way I can find everything I want.
That is 100% correct.
Right? I go to
Yes.
stores, folks. I want to keep stores in business. I go to stores and I try,
Yes.
and I am amazed at how many times I say I'm looking for this particular thing, and they say, "Oh, that's online only. That's only on
Yes.
our online site." So, okay, then you're forcing me to buy online. And when I have to do that, I don't love it because I can't feel it.
Yeah. See, my mom is like that too. My mom is still one that goes to the store. I'm an online shopper. If it comes and I don't like the way it feels, I just send it back. I just make sure that it has a return policy. So it's a pain in the butt, but every time I go to the store and you're right, they're like, "Hey, that's online." I'm like, "Well, then why did I make the trip?" And then I get annoyed because you wasted my time. But my mom is very much like that. She has to feel everything. She's got to touch everything. She will not buy it if she cannot. She never shops online. And so I feel like, but I can easily shop online just as long as I know, like, if I don't like it, I'm sending it back or I'm giving it away.
I don't have that kind of time. I get so annoyed by that.
I get and they're like, "Hey, you can only buy that online." So I'm like,
yeah, it's true.
You know?
So if we know how much touch means to us,
Yes,
as adults,
yes,
right?
I'm touching everything.
If you're sitting out there thinking, "Yeah, I've been to places where I can't touch things," or "I want to touch the clothes," Cindy, you're right. This online shopping is it's like a menace.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're thinking that, now imagine young children who don't fully understand the world around them yet. You and I can talk about things, can show them things, but unless they touch it, they know it?
Yeah. But I also
I'm saying
feel like
no, they don't.
People now, I think, are recognizing this. Like when you go to the zoo, they now have where you can touch the manta rays. You ever go?
Yeah, I'm not touching them though.
What? Okay,
I'm not touching. I can't. I
can't
can't do it.
I do. I'm
Okay,
all over that.
You can touch them for me.
Yep.
Let me know how that went.
But that never used to be a thing. When the zoo that's by my house, I have been to many, many times when I was a kid, growing all the way up. And not until recently, within like maybe the last 10 years, did they start having these touch things. Okay. And I think it's because people are recognizing like the only way for people, it's not just the kids that are touching it, it's everybody can go in there and touch them, is to actually feel them. And they also, the animal experts, the zoologists, they know like, okay, they're not going to hurt those animals by touching them. So let's go for it. It is amazing though. Okay. You know what they feel like.
If we're saying
all the time in here.
If we're saying in order to know the manta ray, did you say? You have to touch it, then I'm good with not knowing it. I feel that way about a lot. There's an aquarium at the shore, which is the beach. No, not even that one. No. There's another aquarium down the shore.
If you're not from Jersey, that means the beach.
Yeah, they're all laughing now because they've heard that we say down the shore, but we really do.
Yeah.
So there's an aquarium down the shore where they have like a whole on their second floor is just a whole bunch of touch tanks, which you would probably love.
I think I've been there and I absolutely loved it.
You would love it.
Yes,
I go up there.
Everything.
I used to bring my kids up there and I'd be like, "Go ahead, boys, go touch everything." And I was like, "No, I don't know. I don't know." Because probably when I was young, probably somebody said to me, "Cindy, don't touch that. Ew."
Yeah, I know, but yes, but now I touch everything. I've touched snakes. I've touched everything. Yeah. When the reptile guy comes to school, I'm like, "Yep, sign me up. I will totally hold that snake." But do you know what a snake feels like?
Isn't it dry?
Yes. And smooth. So like, but you wouldn't know that because you didn't touch it.
Someone told me. Someone told me.
Do you really know?
I have a cousin who had snakes.
Do you really know? Because you never held one.
No, and again, I'm good with not knowing. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, "I'm with Cindy, I'm good with," you need to come to YouTube. You need to come to YouTube and watch the faces I'm making as Alison described them.
Giving her. Because she just talked about how she can't buy clothing unless she touches it.
That's true. I'm not trying to buy a snake. I'm not trying to buy a snake. I'm good. I'm good right where I am.
Yeah, no, I want to feel that stuff.
Okay, well,
you would have you ever felt a, no, I don't even know why I'm asking. A frog.
I had to
Because-
dissect one
Yeah,
in
that's
school,
different. That's different because
but
the
I let
way you
my
could tell-
partner do it, and then I
Yeah.
wrote the report.
the way you could tell a difference between a frog and a toad is how they feel. So like toads are dry, frogs are not.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
if you're also out there like I can't, please come to YouTube and laugh at my face. At any rate, if the question is, Cindy, can you fully know a snake if you have never touched one? The answer is probably no.
Correct, because it's definitely different.
And I'm good.
Okay. Because I think until I felt one, what I imagined in my head was not correct.
Okay. So now, until we feel things,
Yeah.
we start to, and this is true for young children with whatever we're showing them or talking to them about
Yeah.
or reading to them about. And it's not realistic that you're going to be able to bring everything in. I totally get
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge then they don't fully understand it yet.
Right. Right.
They don't fully. If I'm reading a book about koala bears and there's no way I can bring a koala bear in,
True.
a real koala bear, I'm not talking about a stuffed one because that feels different than the real
Totally
one.
different. Yeah.
So if I can't bring a koala bear in, then what
Yeah.
I've done is I've exposed them to a new idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've exposed them to a new idea, a new fact.
Yeah.
And maybe someday they'll get to go somewhere where they can touch something that comes from a koala bear, and then they'll fully understand it. And it's true. So when I go to a place like the zoo and there are animals that you can't touch,
Yeah.
but let's say I perceive that they would be so cool to like to pet them, or
Okay.
like baby tigers or something.
Yeah.
You do have an urge to touch that you can't
Right.
satisfy.
And there's some that like okay, elephants. Have you ever touched? I'm asking the wrong person. Have you ever touched an elephant?
No, I have. I
Okay,
mean, my children have
because
ridden elephants in the
They
zoo.
feel completely different than I would have ever imagined. Like they're more like prickly and like it's rough.
So we
rather
make
than
stuff up.
smooth.
We make stuff up
Right.
about animals and
Right.
other things, you know?
Right. So I feel like until I actually touched one, I was like, and now I do have an understanding. I was like, oh, their skin is different than what I thought it would be. But I don't know if that's anything against like the teachers that I had, maybe because they never touched an elephant either. Maybe I don't know. Like,
Can we talk about taste for a second?
Uh-huh.
Which is another one of the
Yes.
senses.
yeah,
But it also is a sort of a form of touch because you
it is. You're
feel
feeling
you
it
feel
in
the
your-
texture of food.
Yeah.
So here's an example of why why touch can outdo taste
Okay.
when we're talking about
Yeah.
food.
Okay.
Okay. My husband is a really big oatmeal eater. Eats it every day. Look at Allison now.
Because taste is what. Yeah, this is where you're gonna
Okay.
get me. That's disgusting, but okay.
He eats oatmeal every
The
day.
texture alone.
So
Okay.
I just haven't eaten oatmeal in probably since maybe I was a young
Since I was a
child.
kid.
Maybe I expressed that I
Yeah,
didn't
I don't
like it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just something I've never done. And I was looking for something new to eat for breakfast.
Okay.
And I said to my husband, he's got, he puts flavors in it,
Yeah,
whatever he
yeah.
does. So I said to him, I want to taste that. Maybe it would give me some more variety at breakfast. So for me, and I'm not saying this is everyone, I put it in my mouth and went, never mind. And so it smelled okay to me.
Yeah.
It looked like I could possibly do it.
I can't.
But
do
when
that.
the texture,
It's the texture.
the taste was fine, folks. I was good with the taste.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
texture.
For me,
And that's
all
touch.
yes. To me, I'm very picky about foods, not because of the way they taste, because of how they feel in my mouth. So like
Okay.
I have trouble with oatmeal. I have but I can do applesauce, which is weird. I have trouble with fruits, like things like that, or like I don't.
And
but
we
I can
see
touch
babies.
everything else.
We
you
see
know? Like-
babies do this.
Yeah.
Don't we see babies when you go first start to feed food to babies that they've never had before? And you can see like the ones that the texture's bothering them, they just sort of dribble out.
Yeah.
The ones where they don't like the taste, they make faces.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's the texture, the touch,
It's
the
touch
feel,
of it.
they just kind of dribble it out of their mouths
Yes.
like I did with the
Right.
oatmeal.
But then how is it that I could touch everything with my fingers, but then when it comes to my mouth, I can't?
Well, you have a different level of touch with your hands, your
Yes.
feet, your tongue.
Yeah.
Right.
I get. Yeah.
So I can see how that would be possible.
Right.
I also, as we continue to talk this out, can see how touch is how we truly know something. I knew
Right.
a lot of things. My husband eats oatmeal every day. I've
Yeah.
seen him eat
Yeah.
this. I've seen him eat it every day. I knew that it was kind of lumpy, but he can
Yeah.
make it smooth with things. I knew that it can have different flavors. I knew it can have different tastes. I know the color of it. I know a lot of things about
Yeah.
oatmeal, but until I put it in my mouth, I
Do you
didn't
really
fully
know?
know it.
Yeah. Do you really know?
Right. So if we're talking about young children, then what that speaks to is the imperative. Anything we're teaching them needs to be as hands-on as possible, or we have to admit they only partially know it.
Yes. Or does it need to hit all of the senses, right? So
Well, ideally,
right, they're not gonna like say you're learning about birds and they've never heard a bird before, right? Or this particular bird maybe that you're learning about, they never heard before. Do they really know it? No, they might know everything else, but they don't know that. So I think it's more of like you have to try to hit as many senses as possible, with touch being one of the most important ones, but all of them.
with touch being extremely
Extremely
important.
Yeah.
And I don't think that touch has gotten its proper billing
I don't
in the
think it
list
has
of,
either.
I don't think that,
Not
because
at
they
all.
get to an age, like you said before, where everything is
touch
don't
that.
touch. So we
Mhm.
think it's okay to not touch things. It's not okay for them to not touch
Teaching
things.
them that you shouldn't touch things, when
Yeah.
really I think you should. You should
To
touch everything.
To fully understand
Yeah.
something, I have to have touched it. I remember one time I was watching a TV show and it was a documentary.
Yeah.
And it had to do with some advancements in heart disease or something.
Yeah.
And there was a surgeon, a cardiologist surgeon, on talking about what it feels like to hold a beating heart in your hand.
I can't even imagine that. But yes.
And I was like awestruck by how
Yeah.
he described this. Yeah, because he fully knows it.
He know well,
He has held a beating heart in his
I can't
hands.
even imagine it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not nowhere near it to be able to even imagine it.
And don't you think our lack of ability to imagine holding a
Yeah.
beating heart in your hand is sort of like a child's lack of ability to fully understand something they can't hold in their hand?
Yes, that's a good comparison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Made that up on the spot.
That was good.
Thanks.
Okay.
So where does this take us with our
Yeah.
preschool peeps? Two things. Anything that you can give them to hold, please let them do it. It
Mhm.
has to be safe.
Yes.
Can't be a choking hazard and all that.
Yeah.
Right? Has
Yeah.
to be very safe for them.
Mhm.
But if you're teaching it to them and you can in some way have them hold it or hold a piece of it,
Yeah.
or something, then you have to do that.
Right.
If it is not possible, if you're teaching about something where it's not possible to bring anything in, let's not pretend that anything else takes its place.
Right.
Right. So saying to children, oh, a koala bear feels kind of like this sweater. No, it has its own. We have to know when we just say to children, or when we say to ourselves, this is as much as I can teach about this to the children.
If you've never touched a koala, that
How would I know?
You're teaching them wrong anyway. So
Yeah.
you could say, hey, I don't know what they feel like. I imagine maybe that they're soft. What do you imagine them to be like? And then maybe when you go to the zoo, they'll let you touch one. And then you're
Right.
like, oh, is it like you imagined? Yes or no? But instead of saying like, oh, it's like your sweater. Well, how do I know if it's like my sweater?
So
You know?
yes
So
to bringing
don't make
in.
it up, I would say.
No,
Like,
don't make it up. Don't make it up.
Yeah.
Yes to bringing in whatever you can.
Yeah.
Admitting we are partially teaching some of it, which
Yeah.
is okay.
It's fine.
It's
Yeah.
okay. They'll maybe later on in their lives, they'll get exposure to touching things.
Yeah.
And when you go to the zoo and they have those educational programs where children can touch things, take them.
Yeah.
Because I'll bet you I was not taken.
You were not.
I was instead taught, ew, no, that's dirty.
Like when I was a kid, I wasn't either. Like, you know, I
I don't
have a
know.
mom who's very skittish about like everything. So I can't imagine her ever like allowing me to do that. But when I got older and I got more into science is when I was like, I'm gonna touch it.
Mm.
What could happen? Nothing. You know,
I
like,
was
it's not-
firmly entrenched in no thank you.
It's not gonna me if they're, you know, I don't know.
Have you brought preschool peeps? Have you brought something really unusual and cool in for the children to touch? Please share it with us so that we can
Yes.
share it in another episode and give people ideas. Go to howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. Use our
Yes.
Spaces by Wix app to chat. Go to Facebook and let
Yeah.
us know
Yeah.
what really, really cool things you've brought in.
Yeah. have an episode of just ideas.
Yes, it would,
That
but
would be
we need to
awesome, but we
get them
need
first. We
ideas.
need you to
Yeah.
send them.
Yes.
So please send the ideas and we will catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.